The cell was quiet. Not the comforting kind, but the kind that wrapped around you like plastic sheeting, airless, watching. Lieutenant Commander Ava Reyes sat shackled to a slab of black alloy that pulsed faintly beneath her. The cuffs were fused to her skin, humming with microscopic machines that monitored her every breath. Her uniform was gone. In its place, a sterile gray tunic, torn at one shoulder, her blood dried in patches no one had bothered to clean. The door hissed open. They never walked. The Xir'Thal floated. Overmind Xir'Thal entered, flanked by 2 handlers, 8-limbed sentinels, more machine than organism. His form was angular, translucent skin over a pale exoskeleton. His voice wasn't sound, but pressure, words injected directly into the mind. You have not spoken. 3.2 cycles. Curious. Ava stared at him. Her lips curved into something between a smirk and a snarl. She blinked once, slowly. Xir'Thal circled her like a predator measuring the radius of its prey. Most beings scream within 1 cycle. You've lost fluid, endured neural prodding, and refused sustenance. This is inefficient. Speak. Declare your origin. Ava's voice was hoarse but steady. Your math's off. Xir'Thal paused. A flicker of interest. Clarify. She tilted her head, eyes locked on his. You said I haven't eaten. That's not true. I've been feeding. On what? She smiled. You. There was a pause. One of the handlers shifted, confused. Xir'Thal leaned in, eyes glowing faintly. You attempt humor. No, Ava replied. I've been watching your rhythms. The change in guards. Who hesitates, who obeys, who twitches? You think you're dissecting me. But I already see the seams in your command. You're cracking. And you don't even know it. Xir'Thal withdrew slowly, contemplative. Human arrogance. Predictable. You are fragile. Your kin haven't even reached the galactic core. Yet you speak like a predator. Ava leaned forward, her chains grinding softly. Because we are. You think dominance is about control. For us? It's about endurance. You break things to own them. We survive until the breaking becomes your undoing. We've consumed species that could rewrite time, Xir'Thal said, more to himself than her. What is your value? That's the fun part, she whispered. You'll find out too late. Silence fell again. Xir'Thal gestured to the handlers. A neural band was pressed against her temple. Ava closed her eyes. Pain flared, an invasive sweep of her memory, identity, and thought. They were scanning her. She let them. But not everything. Images filled the chamber, her father's burnt face in the ice wars, the shredded silence of Europa's collapse, her boots soaked in methane as the last drone flickered out. They didn't need to be true. Just convincing. Xir'Thal's form twitched. Ava kept her breathing steady, letting fear linger in her posture, baiting him into thinking he was winning. Try this one, she said, slipping her voice into a whisper. Fragment 4x9 Azure, she murmured. A code. A non-existent memory implant. The room grew colder. Xir'Thal flinched, then blinked rapidly. He tilted his head as if something far away had just screamed in his skull. What did you say? Nothing important, Ava said, relaxing against the slab. Just a sequence. I've got more. But you might want to rest first. You look pale. The overmind stood frozen. The handlers awaited orders. Ava closed her eyes, feigning sleep. Later. The lights dimmed. Time became shapeless. The guards outside her cell rotated every 18 minutes. Ava didn't need a clock. She counted breaths. 6 guards total. 2 began coughing last shift. 1 limped. She filed it away. The door hissed again. No overmind. Just the low-ranking drone, Lieutenant Xir'Thal, who avoided her gaze. He pushed a tray of water forward. She stared at it. New recruit? He said nothing. Don't worry. You'll outlive your commander. Maybe. Still no response. She leaned in just enough to let her voice slide beneath his composure. Did he mention the dreams yet? He froze. Bingo. They get worse, she continued softly. First, the shadows move. Then your own face begins whispering to you. Soon, even the lights flicker your name. Citan's clawed fingers trembled. You should transfer, she advised. Before the Ravager becomes your tomb. He left without the tray. Interrogation room, cycle +4. Xir'Thal entered alone this time. Ava sat upright. Your trick failed. You're lying, she said plainly. Xir'Thal didn't deny it. He circled her again, slower this time. Less authority, more caution. We will extract the truth eventually. You are not infinite. No, she agreed. But I am sufficient. She leaned forward as far as the chains would allow. And you're already bleeding control. Xir'Thal snarled, his thoughts pulsing with static. You will cease. Suddenly, the walls shook. Not much, but enough for dust to fall. Alarms didn't blare. But Ava knew the tremor of sabotage. She smiled again. Tick-tock. Final scene, chapter cliffhanger. Back in her cell, Ava lay on the floor. The lights flickered once. Then again. A low hum started, deep, almost subsonic. Her smile returned, smaller this time. The virus was working. Not biological. Psychological. A single phrase, crafted to infect Xir'Thal thought patterns, override their emotional inhibitors, and seed doubt. It had taken root. A voice echoed faintly through the ventilation grid, one of the handlers, sobbing in static, repeating a single word. Human. Ava Reyes opened her eyes to the darkness and whispered, good. The Ravager wasn't built for fear. Xir'Thal vessels were designed with sharp geometry and unyielding logic, no curves, no comfort, just angles and efficiency. But now, something intangible had begun to bleed into the corridors. An unease that didn't belong. It started small. A junior technician found his reflection blinking at the wrong time. A security drone shut down in the middle of a patrol, its sensors flooded with phantom inputs. The med bay lights flickered in Morse-like bursts no one recognized. Then came the screams. Not human. Not Xir'Thal either. Something new. Something wrong. Xir'Thal stood rigid in the command chamber, eyes glassy, pupils dilated unevenly. He hadn't slept in 2 cycles. His mind replayed Ava's whisper, Fragment 4x9 Azure. It echoed, folded inward, and repeated again with slightly altered pitch. Not a virus. Not in the technological sense. This was language, weaponized. And now it nested in his thoughts like a parasite. Commander Xir'Thal approached with caution, his posture lowered. Systems are experiencing anomalies. 3 crew have been restrained for self-harm. 1 tore his own limbs off, claiming the human is inside him. We request permission to purge Deck 5. Xir'Thal didn't answer right away. Instead, he whispered, she did this. She is still confined, Xir'Thal said. Monitored at all intervals. Impossible. Xir'Thal's fingers twitched. His skin pulsed. She doesn't need to move. She's spreading through us anyway. Ava sat calmly in her cell, still cuffed. But she wasn't still. Her eyes tracked the security lens in the top corner. Not because she wanted to escape, no. She needed them to watch. That was the only way fear worked, when the audience couldn't look away. The voice came again. This time from the wall vent. Faint. Broken. A childlike whisper. She's coming. Ava didn't smile. She didn't need to anymore. Down on Deck 5, lights blew out in a chain reaction. Panels sparked. Sirens stuttered, then reversed, letting out deep, howling moans like dying animals. A security team was dispatched. For Xir'Thal, each armed with molecular disruptors. They entered the lower corridor with weapons raised. The hallway smelled warm. That was the first sign something was wrong. The Ravager never changed temperature. Second sign, the walls wept condensation, though no environmental systems were active. Third sign, one of them, Officer Xir'Thal, dropped his rifle. His eyes had turned completely black. He looked at the others and said, in perfect Terran English, "Run." Then his chest split open. Not from attack. From the inside, like his body could no longer contain the fear. Xir'Thal stared at the monitor. The feed cut out. Static replaced the screams. The command deck fell silent. "Get me the prisoner," he growled. "Now." 2 guards arrived at Ava's cell. Their movements were jerky. One held a plasma prod. The other avoided eye contact. Both visibly trembling. She looked up slowly. "Rough night?" she asked. You will come with us." Ava stood. Chains still bound her wrists. But she made no move to resist. As they marched her through the halls, crew members whispered behind doors. Some watched through vents. Others wept quietly. The ship was unraveling. Not from sabotage. From belief. They threw her into the interrogation chamber again. Xir'Thal entered moments later, sweat beading beneath his translucent skin. "What did you infect us with?" he demanded. Ava tilted her head. "Truth. Be precise." She stepped forward, closer than she should have been allowed. But Xir'Thal didn't stop her. "I didn't plant a code," she said. "I let you see us. Just a glimpse. A taste of the thing we bury inside and call human." Xir'Thal gripped the edge of the table. "Lies. Delusion. You're a single cell in an unremarkable species." "No," she replied. "I'm restraint. You captured the part of us that chooses not to burn the stars. And now, you're waking it up." Xir'Thal opened his mouth, but no sound came. Just a low ringing in his ears. It grew louder. The lights dimmed. He backed away from her. Then his eyes rolled back. He awoke on the floor of the chamber. Alone. Cold. Security footage showed Ava still in her chains. She hadn't moved. But his hands were bleeding. Carved with scratches. Deep grooves dug into his own skin. He didn't remember doing it. In the hall outside, another crew member wandered naked, speaking in reverse. Commander Xir'Thal stormed into the command chamber. She must be terminated. No more games. Xir'Thal shook his head. If you kill her, the fear becomes legend. Right now, she is containable. But a martyr? He looked at the others. She becomes myth. No one answered. Because every officer in the room had already seen the same dream. It wasn't a dream, really. It was a memory. One that wasn't theirs. A planet. Scarred. Oceans boiling. Ash clouds swirling. A single human kneeling beside a crater, clutching a broken rifle. And above her, ships burning like suns. Not alien ships. Human ones. Sacrificing themselves not for victory, but vengeance. Later, in her cell, Ava lay in silence. A single word scrawled into the floor beside her bed, burned by a laser shard she'd stolen from a broken vent unit. Soon. And the guards didn't dare erase it. Deck 7 collapsed first. Not physically. Structurally, it remained intact, lights flickering, consoles online. But mentally, it was gone. The officers stationed there began clawing their own chitin, muttering fragments of Earth languages they had never studied. By the time Xir'Thal initiated isolation protocol, it was too late. Ava's message had spread. Not through wires. Through minds. Not a virus. A seed. Ava stood at the center of her cell, arms at her sides, head tilted to listen. The Ravager was screaming now, quietly, beneath its bulkheads and vents. She could feel the ship's soul breaking apart in waves. Footsteps approached. Not guards. Xir'Thal. Alone. His uniform was tattered, unfastened, his once imperious frame trembling beneath the weight of sleepless cycles. He entered the cell without backup. "I was wrong," he said, voice thin. "You're not a soldier." Ava didn't speak. "You're something else. You don't fight with weapons. You break certainty." Still, she watched him. Measured. Waiting. "Tell me how to stop it," Xir'Thal whispered. She stepped forward. The chains between her wrists clinked, but she didn't seem bound by them anymore. "You don't," she said. "You let it finish." "Let what finish?" Ava leaned in. Close enough that her breath fogged the alien's translucent face. "The lesson." Xir'Thal staggered back. "I'll purge the decks. Wipe every record. Burn the bodies. No one will remember you." "You can try," Ava said. "But you won't survive long enough to forget." Elsewhere, chaos spread. The Ravager's AI core, built for command logic and multi-species protocol integration, began reciting Earth nursery rhymes over intercoms. Fire suppression activated randomly. Doors refused to open or closed permanently. Hallways changed length. Entire squads vanished between compartments that shouldn't have existed. Lieutenant Xir'Thal, the lowly handler who once served her water, now led a rogue crew of infected, painting blood sigils on corridor walls. Every mark matched Ava's handwriting. She hadn't left her cell. Xir'Thal initiated final silence, a protocol designed for uncontainable mental anomalies. It would seal every door, shut down oxygen in uninfected decks, and jettison compromised data cores into space. But the console rejected his command. Access denied. Prisoner designated, override authority. His claws trembled. Ava had never touched a single panel. The door to her cell now stood open. She walked the corridor alone. No guards stopped her. Some saluted. Others knelt. She stepped over bodies, some breathing, some not. The lights above her dimmed with each step, as if afraid to shine too brightly in her path. In the atrium, dozens of Xir'Thal crew gathered in silence, eyes wide, hands twitching as they watched her ascend the command staircase. She passed through them without a word. Xir'Thal stood at the bridge's central console. He turned slowly as she entered, like a priest at the altar of a dying god. "Why didn't Earth send diplomats?" he asked. Ava placed one foot on the final step. "We did," she said. 5 times. He blinked. "They never returned." "No," she said. "They weren't supposed to." The console pulsed. "Auto-destruct, armed. T-2 o'clock." Xir'Thal laughed. It was dry. Empty. "So this is how we end?" Ava nodded. "Not with war. With understanding. You wanted to know what makes humans dangerous." She turned to leave. "And now you do." In the hangar, the last remaining fighter ship, compact, Terran-modified, sat ready. Ava entered the launch code by memory. As it lifted off the deck, her eyes didn't once glance back. Behind her, the Ravager burned. Outer orbit, Cernax Delta. 14 minutes later. A patrol vessel intercepted a garbled transmission. It was a single phrase, looped on repeat. "To the Empire's listening, you captured a human. You won't survive another." Ava Reyes floated in silence, watching the debris scatter into the void like ash. She adjusted her course for Earth, leaned back in her seat, and closed her eyes. One ship entered orbit. One survivor returned. And somewhere, across the galaxy, empires began to whisper Ava Reyes' name. Like a warning. Like a prayer.